A man wrote a song about a broken heart that drinks itself into the grave, and the woman he loved followed him there years later, buried at his side. A songwriter based it on something he watched happen to someone he actually knew, and for years, two of the biggest names in country music quietly wanted to record it and were turned down. That is where this list ends. It is not where it begins. These are the country songs that made millions fall in love. Welcome to Country Corner, the home of the forgotten stories.
Tell me you love me and don't let me cry.
Behind the songs that built a genre out of heartbreak, faith, and dust. If you love the sound of a steel guitar crying behind a broken voice, you already belong here.
There had all but given up.
Number 10, I Fall to Pieces, Patsy Cline, 1961. Songwriters Hank Cochran and Harlan Howard wrote this one fast, in an afternoon, and Cochran has said the ache in it came from a real woman he was in love with, who belonged to somebody else. The song got turned down before Patsy ever heard it. Other singers passed, hearing it as too vulnerable, too exposed for a woman to sing on the radio in 1961.
Like we've never kissed.
Patsy Cline took it anyway, and it became her first #1 country hit. Here is the detail that makes it unbearable.
And I've tried.
Just as the song was climbing to the top of the charts that summer, Patsy Cline was nearly killed in a head-on car collision that threw her through the windshield and left her fighting for her life in a hospital bed. She recovered enough to perform again in a wheelchair, then on crutches, refusing to cancel a single show, all while a song called I Fall to Pieces played on every radio station in the country. Few fans at the time knew that the woman singing about falling apart was, quite literally, still healing from being shattered. Number 9, The Chair, George Strait, 1985. Dean Dillon and Hank Cochran wrote this one as a simple pickup line stretched into an entire life. A man at a bar tells a woman, "Excuse me, but I think this is your chair," and asks if he can buy her a drink. By the final verse, the listener realizes the whole story has been a man retelling, years later, the exact night he met the woman he still loves. The mother of his children, sitting right beside him as he tells it. What almost nobody knows is that Dean Dillon, the man who helped write some of George Strait's most enduring hits, spent years of his own life in and out of financial ruin.
Are you waiting for someone to meet?
And struggling with alcoholism, never quite able to build the solo career he wanted for himself, even as the songs he handed to other singers made them legends.
Name of the band, but they're good.
He gave away, piece by piece, some of the tenderest love stories in country music, while his own story stayed considerably harder. Number 8, Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue, Crystal Gayle, 1977.
Don't make my brown eyes blue.
For most of her early career, Crystal Gayle was introduced to audiences the same way, over and over. Loretta Lynn's little sister. She was 12 years younger than Loretta.
Give me no reasons, give me alibi.
Trying to build her own identity in an industry that had already decided who she was before she opened her mouth. Songwriter Richard Lee wrote this one
Reach your back to know.
about a friend's crumbling relationship. Not his own, but Crystal's delivery turned it into something aching and personal enough that listeners assumed it had to be autobiographical.
Don't make my brown eyes, don't make my.
The song crossed over onto pop radio, won a Grammy, and finally gave Crystal Gayle a name that didn't need her sisters attached to it. The detail most people miss is smaller and stranger. Crystal Gayle grew her hair out for most of her adult life, eventually past her knees, refusing to ever cut it. And it became almost as recognizable as her voice, a quiet, stubborn way of being seen as entirely her own person. Number 7, She Thinks I Still Care. George Jones, 1962.
Just because I ask a friend.
The story goes that songwriter Dickie Lee overheard a friend on the phone, mumbling defensively about an ex-girlfriend, insisting over and over that he didn't care anymore,
I rang her number by.
while every word betrayed him. Dickie Lee turned that overheard denial into one of the most covered songs in country music history, recorded well over 100 times by different artists.
I haunt the same old places.
George Jones took it to number 1, and it became his first major hit as a solo star. What almost no one connects is the timing. This song, all about a man performing indifference while quietly falling apart,
She thinks I.
came years before George Jones's own life would collapse into public heartbreak, alcoholism, and a devastating marriage to Tammy Wynette that the whole industry watched unravel.
Oh, that little bitty titty bitty thing they call.
In 1962, George Jones was just a voice, singing someone else's ache. He had no idea he was rehearsing his own future.
It's a little bitty titty bitty thing they call.
Number 6, Amanda, Waylon Jennings, 1979.
I've held it all in wait. God.
Bob McDill wrote Amanda back in 1968, and it sat around Nashville for years. First recorded by Don Williams in 1973 to little notice.
Mirror in total surprise.
Waylon Jennings cut his own version not long after, but a tangle of contract disputes with his record label kept it locked away, unreleased as a single for the better part of a decade.
Light up my life.
By the time RCA finally let it out in 1979, Waylon dedicated it publicly to his wife, Jessie Coulter, as something close to an apology set to music. A thank you for staying through years of an outlaw lifestyle defined by touring, addiction, and long absences that would have ended most marriages.
The pleasures of life.
The detail that gets left out of the story is how long that gratitude sat unspoken.
Well, I'm finally past 40, still wearing.
A song written in the late 1960s didn't reach the world as Waylon's own confession until more than 10 years later, meaning he carried that unsaid apology to his own wife for the better part of a decade before he ever let her hear it. If stories like these are the reason you're still watching, you already understand what Country Corner is built on.
But it's an awful awakening.
Not nostalgia for its own sake, but the belief that these singers and songwriters deserve to be remembered as the people they actually were, not just names on an old record sleeve.
On my shoulders and the age in my.
Every entry left on this list gets heavier from here. Stay close. Number 5, Islands in the Stream, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, 1983.
We got something going on.
This one wasn't even written for country music. Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb of the Bee Gees wrote it as an R&B song, originally intended for Marvin Gaye, who turned it down.
Making love with each other.
Barry Gibb eventually brought it to Kenny Rogers instead, and Kenny wasn't convinced it suited him at all until producers suggested pairing him with Dolly Parton as a duet. What happened in the studio became the stuff of Nashville legend. The two of them had so much natural chemistry together that sessions kept breaking down into laughter. Takes ruined by giggling fits neither of them could control. Engineers stopping and restarting the tape over and over just to get a usable performance. The song, named after a line from an Ernest Hemingway novel, became one of the best-selling country duets ever recorded, and to this day, people assume the sparks between Kenny and Dolly on that record meant something more than friendship.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are.
It didn't. What it did mean was that two of the most disciplined performers in the business could barely make it through a session without cracking up, and somehow that joy is still audible in every note.
From one lover to another.
Number 4, The Dance, Garth Brooks, 1990.
Dance we shared.
Tony Arata was a struggling, largely unknown songwriter in Nashville when he wrote this one alone in his apartment, close to giving up on music entirely.
You'd ever say
Garth Brooks heard the demo tape almost by accident and was so moved by it that he insisted on recording it himself, even though people around him worried a song this somber, essentially about grief and loss disguised as a love song,
our lives are better left to
was far too heavy for country radio. Garth won that argument. The song's music video, built around footage of fallen public figures rather than a traditional love story,
you.
turned The Dance into something closer to a national elegy than a romance song. And it remains, by Garth's own repeated admission, his favorite song he has ever recorded.
King would fall.
The one he still closes almost every concert with. The detail almost no one remembers is how close Tony Arata came to walking away from songwriting for good
I didn't know.
before that demo ever reached Garth's hands. One tape, nearly forgotten in a stack, became one of the most quietly devastating songs country music has ever produced.
Left to chance. I could have.
Number 3, Where Have You Been? Kathy Mattea, 1989. This is not a song someone invented. Songwriter John Vesner wrote it about his own grandparents, an elderly couple who had been married for decades before age and illness separated them into different hospital rooms.
She sighed and said,
Both fading, both unable to reach each other. As the story goes, hospital staff wheeled his grandfather's bed into the same room as his grandmother's, without either of them expecting it.
have you been?
And in that moment, after months of confusion and silence, his grandfather said her name. He recognized her one last time before he died.
I'm just not myself when you're away.
John Vesner wrote the song afterward as a way of holding on to that moment, and Kathy Mattea, who happened to be married to Vesner, recorded it herself, reportedly breaking down in tears during the sessions.
Was home each night by 8, but
The fact that almost never gets mentioned is that this song, one of the most devastating portraits of lifelong love in the entire country catalog, was never fiction to begin with.
until his key turned in the door.
It was a grandson's memory, set to music, about the exact moment two people found each other one final time. Number 2, When You Say Nothing at All, Keith Whitley, 1988.
That's it over. You can die.
Paul Overstreet and Don Schlitz wrote this song about a love so certain it doesn't need words, and Keith Whitley recorded it with a voice many in Nashville considered one of the purest and most naturally gifted of his generation.
The smile on your face lets me know.
He never got to see what it became. In May of 1989, Keith Whitley died of acute alcohol poisoning at just 33 years old.
Catch me if ever I fall.
Before the song had its full moment on country radio. It was released and promoted after his death, and it became one of his signature hits. A posthumous number 1 that fans now hear as something closer to a message from beyond than a simple love song.
When you hold me near, you
His widow, singer Lori Morgan, continued performing tributes built around his memory for years afterward. What makes it almost too much to sit with is the timing itself.
sit between your heart and mine.
a song about someone whose quiet presence says everything was still climbing the charts, while the man who recorded it was already gone. His own silence, suddenly saying more than anyone wanted it to. Number 1. Whiskey Lullaby, Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss, 2004.
Like the burning end of a midnight cigarette.
Bill Anderson and John Randall wrote this one, after Randall said he had witnessed something close to it happen in real life. A man undone by heartbreak, who drank himself into an early grave.
Pain away a little at a time.
The song does not soften what it's describing. In the first verse, a man drinks himself to death after being left by the woman he loved.
Finally drank away her memory.
In the second verse, years later, that same woman, consumed by guilt she never resolved, drinks herself to death too, and is buried right beside him.
Him with his face down in the pillow.
It is, by design, one of the darkest number 1 songs ever released in mainstream country music. A love story that ends not once but twice, in the same plot of earth.
Angel sang a whiskey lullaby.
For years, the songwriters reportedly turned down interest from other major stars who wanted to record it, waiting instead for a pairing that could carry the full weight of it. When Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss finally recorded it as a duet, it swept the CMA Awards and became an instant standard.
She tried to hide the whiskey on her breath.
A song fans still describe as physically difficult to listen to because there is no comfort built into the ending, no redemption verse waiting at the end to soften the fall.
To get him off her mind until
Just two people who loved each other so completely that neither of them could survive losing it, laid to rest together as the only ending the song was ever going to allow.
take away his memory.
10 songs, 10 people who bled onto tape so the rest of us would have something to hold on to during our own heartbreak. If one of these stories moved something in you,
And her with her face down in the pillow.
that is exactly what Country Corner exists to do. To make sure the people behind these songs are never reduced to just a name in small print on an old record sleeve.
Beneath the willow.
If you're still here, that makes you part of the reason these stories get to keep being told at all. And if you'd like to be part of what we uncover next, subscribing is the simplest way to make sure you don't miss it. So tell us, in the comments below, which one of these 10 stories broke your heart the most, and which forgotten song do you think deserves to be told next?